Hello everybody, welcome to this episode of the Social Recruiting Download. Today we are going to be talking about the 6 new rules for online. The recent We Are Social Think Forward report has identified that the internet landscape has changed. The way that people use the internet has changed, and if you're talking about internet, we of course mean social mainly. So in this episode we're going to go through 3 of them, and hopefully you join me in the next episode too if you find value in this one. So for years the internet has been the Wild West, social has been the Wild West, and traditionally the people who enter into these platforms first or enter into creating this type of content first usually are the key players in the market. And this is true, but a lot has changed over the past couple of years, and particularly a lot has changed over 2020 and 2019 prior, purely because just the weight that the internet holds in our lives today. In this episode I'm going to talk about the 3 of 6 of the new rules for social recruiting and the new rules for the internet. Let's get into it, shall we? And one of the rules that came up is people are placing a higher value in original creation now, original content. So what that actually means is that, people do not want to consume content that is created by other brands, otherwise they'll just go straight to that brand. They want to consume your content as an original content creator. And as the more people enter online sphere, and if we want to become a main recruitment brand or main employer brand online, we have to be building our own original content. So what this means for recruiters is organizations need to invest now in their digital content capability. So your designers, your videographers, your the creatives in your business. And this is an interesting thing because I've been saying for years that creatives are going to go full circle. They were sort of undervalued in sort of 2000 to 2010 because anyone thought they could be a graphic designer, but the volume of content required now to remain relevant, you need dedicated designers, you need dedicated copywriters, you need dedicated videographers, motion designers, whatever it is. So if you want to become this really solid recruitment brand and play in the field of these new rules, you need to be investing in your digital capability. The next piece actually is another one which in order to stand out from the crowd, and if this is the new behaviour of people that they want original content from the brands that they follow, then in order to stand out from the crowd we need to create more meaningful content. There's a plethora of content out there, and obviously it can get quite overwhelming at times what to read, what not to read, and a lot of it is the same stuff. So just by having a bit of thought process around the content you're creating and how it applies to the people that are consuming it, which is in this case the talent that you're trying to hire, your employers, whatever it may be, your potential clients, whatever it may be, you need to think about how you're creating this content in a more meaningful manner for them that actually applies to the problems they've got, or that it can give them insight, can create optimism, whatever it may be. But it's very important that companies now, and recruiters and employers, whatever it may be, are creating content that is focused on what people actually want. Because consumers are placing more value on original content and creators, this now means that employer branding and value propositions on social, those standards need to be met, whether it's from your employees, whether it's from your partners, your vendors, whatever it may be. So there needs to be a consistent messaging going out there, and that needs to apply to the content that you're creating. So the second rule of the internet now, the second new rule of the internet is social self-care. This is all around how people are seeking healthier relationships with their digital consumption. So this not only applies to, I suppose, our work-life balance, but also how we're engaging in, online today, and also how brands engage with us. So there are a couple of things this means for recruiters, and these are really important for us to take into play. Not only recruiters, of course, but employer brands when you're creating your content, or when you're putting your messaging out there, and how you can support your employees, how you can support your potential employees. So one of them is that we need to be focusing or shifting our focus to not just the job, like the salary, whatever it may be, but also what the well-being or the level of well-being that this job will create, rather. So instead of you focusing on all of the stuff that the job will bring, what is the well-being also going to be? How does your company support people in their journey to well-being? How do you support people when it comes to work-life balance and all of these things? So we need to shift those focuses if this is the new trend. The other point is that we need a deeper focus on work-life balance. So what I mean by this is that in your messaging when you're putting out now, we need to be discussing not just the jobs, but also how you are elevating people into achieving their personal goals that are outside of work, or how you are enabling people to live their life outside of work instead of being just a person who is in the job working in the organisation. And the final piece this impacts employer and recruitment brands is that how are you supporting people in enforcing healthier habits in their life, whether it comes to digital consumption, work-life balance, spending time with family, all this sort of stuff. There is a shift now for people looking to engage with brands that are championing, self-care. Number 3, the third new rule of the internet is that influencers are not so influencing anymore. Consumers have become disillusioned by the influencer culture. Everyone who has an iPhone and Instagram today is an influencer, so to speak. So people don't want to hear from influencers anymore. They want more authenticity in brands, and they want more relationship with actually people who relate to them, not just a senior exec in the business who has who is the CEO and says that we believe in diversity, or we believe in work-life balance, whatever it may be. So there's a couple of things this means for employer and recruitment brands today. Recruitment brands need to move to community marketing first of all. So instead of being marketing based on messaging that's just being pumped out to people in their face, actually actively engaging in the communities where these skills hang out. And I've been talking about this for so long, around skill sets communities, digital communities of talent, being involved in the communities, whether it's Reddit, Kaggle, or any of the platforms where these skill sets hang out, doing more community marketing. And it often doesn't involve a lot of ad budget or spend. It just involves more human to human touch. The other point is that employers need to now demonstrate relatability and authenticity, and this was the piece I was talking about earlier around a lot of companies, they put senior execs on their employer branding videos. And they don't actually put the real people, and I'm not saying these people aren't real of course, but the people who are on the line for that specific job, and who they are, what their background is, and how how these people relate to the people you're trying to hire. So demonstrating more authenticity in your messaging is super important. And then this leads me into the final piece, again just really drilling down into how you need to champion the relationship between potential employer and employee. A lot of people are not championing this during the interview process. Again, I'll go through the interview process and I'll speak to a hiring manager who has, who isn't necessarily doing the job. I'll maybe speak to the director who isn't necessarily doing the job, but championing that the sort of level to level relationships and engagement is going to be a big gameplay for any employers that move in with this new rule. So there is 6 rules, guys. There's 6 rules. I'm only doing 3 of them in this episode, and you can join into my next episode next week. But the 3 rules, to sum up: people are placing a higher value on original content. So employers, recruitment brands need to start focusing on original content and how you distribute that into the market. What is your original content capability as well? The second piece: self-care, social self-care. A lot of consumers, a lot of people online now are looking at organisations and how they promote self-care, how they promote healthy habits online and in the workplace. So super important that you're focusing on that as an organisation. And the final piece is that influencers are not so influencing anymore. So it's really where people want to become more authentic, and we're going full circle around the human to human relationship. So very exciting times happening on the internet. Let me know what you think of this video. Let me know how this impacts you, and I look forward to seeing you in the next episode. Thank you. I'm Antonio. Speak to you soon.